Welcome back. Let's continue here now. The Desmond and Leah Tutu Legacy Foundation has sent its condolences to the royal family on the passing of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II in Scotland yesterday. The foundation says the late Archbishop and the Queen developed a warm relationship over the years. He visited the late monarch at Buckingham Palace and also welcomed her to St. George's Cathedral in Cape Town in 1995. The foundation says the Arch was struck by the Queen's graciousness and the sense of duty to her people. Now let's get more reaction on the death of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II. We're now joined via Zoom by the co-chair of the Archbishop Desmond Tutu IP Trust and coordinator of the Office of Archbishop and Mrs. Leah Tutu, Dr. Mamphela Ramphele. Dr. Ramphele, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Of course, the British Queen shared a very close relationship with Archbishop Tutu, as we've just described, describing him as a tireless champion, of course, of human rights following his death last year. Talk to us about that relationship as we reflect on the Queen's death.
I'm the chair of the IP Trust of the Arch and Mrs. Tutu. The Desmond and Leah Tutu Foundation is a sister organization, and we share the sentiments that were captured by the press release that you referred to. The Queen was a very gracious woman, because I had the good fortune of also being close to our first president, Mr. Nelson Mandela, who also spoke very graciously about her. And I witnessed both the service at St. George's Cathedral and a lunch at Vergelegen Wine Estate, to which we went to, and I was sitting at a table. So I was close to royalty, so to speak.
I mean, you're just talking about just also, of course, having known that she also enjoyed a very good relationship with the former President Nelson Mandela. In fact, we were speaking to the Nelson Mandela Foundation not too long ago. And of course, the CEO recollecting how Utatu Nelson used to call the Queen by her first name, Elizabeth, which also symbolized just a very close relationship that she has had with not only the statesman, but also South Africans in general.
Absolutely. And also, I believe that she was I would say, your average granny, in that she did have that compassion in her, the way she would look at you, even though you are not supposed to be speaking to her until you are spoken to. You could see that she was a person who took an interest in the people that she met. And so one just hopes that her heirs, who are of a different era from herself, would use this rich legacy that they are now in charge of to look at how in the 21st century, the British people and Britain as a country ought to be looking anew at how the legacy of a not so good history of colonialism can be mutually repaired by both those who are on the receiving end of the colonial conquest and they as beneficiaries of that conquest. And I believe that this is a task now falling on King Charles, and we hope that he, given his very deep sensitivity to the ecosystem, will consider that.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, ma'am. And at that point, millions are mourning the British Queen's death, but there's also been mixed reaction, with some saying, yes, that she was actually the chief symbol of colonization. So how then should her death be viewed by South Africans and the continent at large?
The death of any human being is time for mourning. So we need to mourn her. We need to celebrate her as a human being who played her part given the circumstances of her birth. But it is up to us, the living, who now must make good the relationships that were destroyed and disrupted by colonial conquest, to make sure that our great-grandchildren get to be born into an environment where this healing process has taken place for mutual benefit. Because we know we've got only one earth. And if one part of the earth is hurting, all other parts will hurt. So it is in the interest of the people of Great Britain to look back very honestly at their history and start taking the steps for healing, in the same way that you and I live in a country that has not yet completed the process of healing, and we're paying the price.
And speaking of that legacy that she leaves behind, of course, we know her son, King Charles III, is now going to have to, of course, carry on that legacy. But this is probably an opportune time for him to start leading that process too, that you speak of, again, as he's about to address that nation at around 6 o'clock this evening.
Absolutely. And I have confidence in him. I've also met him during my sojourn at the World Bank. And I know he's a person who cares deeply about Mother Earth. And Mother Earth is a mother that, like any other mother, would like to see harmony in the family. And there's only one family, it's the human family. And this human family remains divided because of that ugly history.
Fantastic. Dr. Ramphele, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We really do appreciate your words of comfort there. Dr. Mamphela Ramphele is with the Archbishop Tutu Foundation. Of course, she's also coordinator of the Office of Archbishop and Mrs. Leah Tutu Foundation.